Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters, 12 tribes of Israel. This is Sister Lori Yah coming to you from Kingdom Come Ministries. And this is for the Daughters of Zion, part 2 of the offering regulations to assist you with your husbands in your homes so that you can have some idea of what you're doing and why we're doing this, and to understand that the offering regulations was a part of life for the children of Israel, and these are things that they did religiously, and it was not for form or fashion. It was because they were being obedient to the Most High. And I realize as I go through this list of things, if you didn't see part 1 of this video, please go back and look at it, because I did explain that this is a modern day. This is 2017. So we don't have a lot of people. Some people do have farm animals, and where they can get a kid, goat or a ram, a lamb, a bull, and do these offerings every day, because there are daily offerings and there are monthly offerings, and then there are offerings that pertain to the high holy days and offerings pertaining to the Sabbath, which is the seventh day of every week, which falls on what the world calls Saturday. So what I'm doing is just trying to give you a guide as to how you can start and begin in your homes to learn how to keep this Sabbath, these high holy days, and what it is that we do on these days. As I stated in the previous video, we go according to the Enoch calendar, which is the spring solstice, because the spring solstice is the beginning of our new year. That is the first month. It's called Abib in the Old Testament, and we only go take our laws from the Old Testament, which are the books from um, Genesis to the book of Malachi is the Old Testament, the entire Old Testament. But the first 5 books, of the Old Testament, of the Bible, are the books of Moses. Okay, and those are the books that give the law and taught and give you the history about the children of Israel. So I encourage you to go and read through all of those books so that you can just check behind me. Do your research. I tell everyone on most of my videos, look, this is not my coming from me. This is the will of the Father. He's using me as a vessel to bring this forth, because I look at a lot of videos. I'm trying to wake up the daughters of Zion, because that is my place. I have my covering, and what my covering does, he puts on his mitri, and because he honors the Most High, because I understand the order, and he teaches me, I teach the women and children, and that is the order of that the Most High set in motion for his children. Okay, and the Akim, which are the elders, the men, the priest of your homes. Even though the priesthood, which is Aaron and his sons, don't exist right now, because most of them are in Haiti, and of course we know they're under the spell right now of hypnosis and voodoo and doing some other things, and there are others in the Caribbean and some here in the United States as well. But without any further alliteration with that, I do want you to understand that when you start in the path of getting into this truth, it requires a lot of studying. It requires a lot of understanding. It requires a lot of rethinking what you've been taught in the Christian church, or the Catholic church, or Protestant church, or even if you're coming from a Jewish synagogue with the Ashkenazi Jews that practices according to the Julian and Gregorian calendar. And they have their way of practicing the Sabbath, where you often see this symbol on their synagogues throughout the country, that for us, this is the shield of David, which kept the evil spirits away when he was in war. And you'll see that in First and Second Kings. If you read through those chapters, you'll understand why the children of Israel have this. But it represents another. It can represent many things. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but um, so without further ado, I want to start with the book of Numbers is where I'm going to be teaching from today, and it's chapters 28 and 29. Now, there are many offering regulations, and as we know, during those times, the people lived in booths, okay? So how they ate and how they lived, they used their hands. They had farming practices and skills that were the only way that they were able to build their homes and feed their families. And that was their means of trading and e-commerce, and selling and bartering. And land was the inheritance of the to the sons from their father's lineage. And there was a case where there were daughters where their father had died, and there's a story in the word about that where they'd had no brothers. So the Most High told Moses, Moses went to the Most High on their behalf and said, listen, these daughters, their father died and he didn't have any sons. So the Most High granted the daughters an inheritance. So you see, there were women that were farming, and they were doing the hard work too. And killing the goats and the bulls and the stuff, I mean, during that time. And I would imagine they would go, of course, into their in the assembly with the other children of Israel, but they still had to bring their farm animals or whatever kind of burnt offering that they were going to give according to whatever the that high holy day was. Everyone had to bring the offering according to whether it was, a sin offering, a peace offering, a free will offering, a grain offering. There were a lot of different types of offering, a vow offering. So I'll get into that in just a few minutes. So, Salakia. Okay, so a lot of the offering regulations. Let's just start with there was a daily offering, and this is in the book of Numbers, as I mentioned before. And the daily offering, let me just back up here, Salakia. I wanted to read something that will kind of help you understand what was going on during those times and why these offerings were so important. So I think with giving you that piece, it wouldn't be fair to give you the offerings, and you're going to be still, some of you might be wondering, well, why do we have to do those offerings and for what reason? Well, in the 25th chapter of Numbers, it says, Israel's harlotry in Moab. Okay, that was the land of the Moabites. It says, now Israel remained in America, in Acacia Grove, and the people began to commit harlotry with the women of Moab. So that's something they weren't supposed to do. They invited the people to the sacrifices of their gods. See, so they were worshiping pagan gods. And the people ate and bowed down to their gods, which is a total abomination. So Israel was joined to Baal of Peor. And the anger of the Lord was aroused against Israel. Okay? So this is this was serious. And it says, then the Lord said to Moses, take all the leaders of the people and hang the offenders before the Lord out in the sun, that the fierce anger of the Lord may turn away from Israel. So Moses said during that time they had judges because the people had asked for judges to deal with all of their, problems, issues, idiosyncrasies, their indifferences. Just as we have court and judges today, they wanted the judges to appeal their cases to them. So Moses said to the judges of Israel, every one of you kill his men who were joined to Baal and Peor. So, and indeed, one of the children of Israel came and presented to his brethren a Midianite woman in the sight of Moses and in the sight of all the congregation of the children of Israel, who were weeping at the door of the tabernacle of the meeting. That was the Holy of Holies and the high holy place. And now when Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, saw it, he rose from among the congregation and took uh, a javelin in his hand, and he went after the man of Israel into the tent and thrust both of them through. So he killed these men, and the man of Israel and the woman through her body. So he killed them all. And the plague was stopped among the children of Israel. That plague meaning that seed of harlotry. So, and those who died in the plague were 24,000. Okay. So because they got the plague because the Lord put that on them for worshiping Baal. Okay. And so finally, in conclusion, then the Lord spoke to Moses saying, Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, has turned back my wrath, see, from the children of Israel, because he was zealous with my zeal among them, so that I did not consume the children of Israel in my zeal. Therefore I say, behold, I give him my covenant of peace. Okay, and it shall be to him and his descendants, those are the priests, after him, a covenant of everlasting priesthood, because he was zealous for the Most High and made atonement for the children of Israel. So remember that last sentence, he made atonement for the children of Israel. And this brings me to the whole point of the offering regulations. Now, what I'm going to do in this video, part 2, is talk about the first, I did mention that we follow the Enoch calendar, which are 10 months only. And the first month of the year for us, Salakia, is the springtime in March, because that is when we observe the Passover. That is the beginning of our calendar months, and it is called the month of Abib. Okay, that is the spring solstice, and because the children of Israel could only count their holy high days, they only knew according to the new moons and the months and the Sabbath days. So from the beginning of creation in Genesis, the Most High made the earth in 7 days. So they would count every 7 days, because the seventh day is the Sabbath day. And he hallowed it, and he rested, and he made it holy. And he said, be holy because I am holy, and have a holy convocation on this day, and do no servile work, meaning working for other people, nor your maidservant, the strangers that sojourn that are joined with you. No one in your household, in your community, is to be working on that day. So, and I'm going to have a video about how we can free ourselves being in Babylon. But I'm not going to alliterate on that right now. So I'm going to start with the first daily offering. Okay. Now, this first daily offering, it had to do with, this was a offering of a food offering and a drink offering that the Most High wanted the children of Israel to do on a daily basis. Now, daughters, the reason why I mentioned that, this is Babylon. We're in the land of our captivity. It is so hard to do exactly what the Most High requires us to do. And I said required because it is, requirement, command. It is what we must do. However, I don't have a farm. I don't have animals. I can't take a kid goat and, cut his neck. The PETA people will be knocking at my door, hauling me off no sooner than I can bat an eye. So what I'm getting at is that, and I'm not trying to be funny, I am so serious, because my soul and the will of the Father in me wants to be able to act out these processes religiously as they did in the day and time that our forefathers were living, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the 12 tribes, and how they did it. That is so sacred, and it's amazing if you just really close your eyes and try to see it, in your spirit, and go back in that time. It's a beautiful thing, people. I'm telling you, it's Israel. I love Israel. I love my people. I love what we stand for, because he chose us. He set us apart to do his will. So we have to listen to our Heavenly Father. So the food offering, what I do, because it's an offering in the morning and in the evening, and a drink offering, when I have my morning meal and when I have my evening meal, that is when, we say our prayers and thank the Lord for eating our food and for it not killing us and being nutrition for our bodies. But also we offer it up to say, Lord, this is from the fruit of my hands. I've worked all, week, and my paycheck has produced the ability to get this food from the land. So I bless the earth. I bless the work, the ability that you've given me to use my hands to be able to work for the food that you've given us for nutrition for our bodies, and to, and the animals that you have given us that are blessed also. You have blessed us richly. So I give you thanks, and on behalf of, your law and commandment, let this be my burnt offering, Lord. And some people, I've seen different videos with people that actually do have farms, and they put their burnt offerings on, they might make a what do you call those, they're like pits, grills that they've made on their property, and they actually go and get lamb or bulls or kids or goats, baby goats, and they have to be without blemish the first year, very young, or a ram or something, and it's either a ram, a lamb, a bull, or a kid goat. I'm sorry, let me be specific here, and excuse me, they actually, they blow the shofar for the alarm to let everybody know, it's time to prepare. Let's have this feast, okay? So this is not done at every meal, but I was just saying for the high holy days, there was there is a succession of processes that come according to, if you read the chapter 28 and 29 in the book of Numbers, you'll see what I'm talking about. But nonetheless, they would make a burnt offering to the Most High, okay, for the daily offering. So, Salakia, the people in that time, the children of Israel, they were very busy, okay, but it was a custom. For them, it was a way of life. For us, we've been reprogrammed, we've been retrained to the Babylonian ways, to the Roman, Greek, and Latin ways of this society, that we forgot who we were. Like when I'd say for at least Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, during the slave trade, and there were other slaves that came out of the other 12 tribes as well that were held captive, the American Indians, the Puerto Ricans, Latin Americans, a lot of them. And all of us were enslaved, and we were brought to this land against our will. And the reason why it says in the Bible that, there were people that we didn't understand their language, because we spoke Paleo Hebrew, and we came with certain customs, and we were wearing fringes around our clothes, and we did things a certain way. And we had these high holy days and offerings and ways that we did things that were not, uh, we were it was hard to conform to the ways that the slave masters incited on us to do. So we were sometimes people died for that sake, because they were like, no, I'm not doing that. But they were having a hard time understanding the ways of the heathen, the Gentiles that were enslaving us. And I guess through the century, through time, over the 200, 300 years now, we have been deprogrammed and of all of that, and our minds have been messed up by the television, by everything that we hear, a lot, some in the pulpits, I hate to say, but in the Christian churches and other church denominations. So I'm going to end this video, and I'd like to say shalom and thawada to all of the Akim, the men of valor, the elect, the 144,000 that are bringing this truth with all sincerity around from the four corners of the earth, that are doing this work, that are helping me and edifying me as well, and teaching me how to be a daughter of Zion, and to be supportive on with your ministry, Salakia. But thank you. And I will see you on part 3 of the offering regulations in the book of Numbers 28 and chapters 29. Shabbat Shalom.